Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Trottier from San Marcos, outside of San Diego, Southern California. And I have, first time on the show, right?
Yeah.
Ann Vandersteel. And Ann has a program called The Steel Truth.
Right.
Ann and I first connected in April last year in Oklahoma. And Ann, we were both sitting front row, and this is the first time I've ever seen General Flynn. I don't know if you'd seen him, but I was the one. You got the first question in, didn't you?
Yes.
And then I got the second one in. And you and I had connected because we were talking about deep state.
Right.
And a lot of people stray away from defining deep state. So that's definitely something I want you to define. Well, not at these events, but
I'll define it right now.
Yeah, define it. But I want listeners to understand here. And also just got off the People's Convoy.
Yeah.
And flew in. And I want to talk about your experience going through Homeland Security in the airport. So
Homeland Insecurity.
Ann is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, folks. Are you a Nazi? You're definitely a racist, though.
Oh, for sure I'm a racist. I'm actually half Dutch. My father's from Holland.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. That says it all, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he fought in World War II for the Americans as an Army Air Corps test pilot. And he signed up and immigrated just so he could fight for the Americans in World War II. That's how much of a racist Nazi we are. Oh, yeah, that guy. I'm that girl.
You're that girl. You're that Ann.
I'm that Ann. That's it. So yeah, let me define the deep state for you, Ian. To me, it's very simple. In 1935, under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, he signed through executive order the Federal Register Act, and that Federal Register Act is what created the administrative state, otherwise known as the deep state. And the deep state is nothing more, in my humble opinion, this is my opinion, okay? But if you look at the fact that our Constitution chartered how many agencies, Ian? The original, our Constitution.
How many agencies?
Well, yeah, including military. We have 4 branches of military. Well, now 5, but 4, right?
Okay.
It was 19 in total.
Okay.
Okay, post office, etc.
Okay.
So that was it. The administrative state was given birth by FDR's Federal Register Act.
Under the New Deal?
Under the New Deal, which started the administrative state and it basically constructed agencies. And it allowed the president to take his executive powers and appoint an agency head. Okay? Instead of an elected position, it's an appointed position, which was a delegation of executive branch power to an agency head. And it's backed up in the most recent of times by Joe Biden saying that Anthony Fauci was president. He has a soundbite on television. You heard that. Who's president?
I haven't heard that.
Oh, yeah. He said, he goes, Fauci. He said it. So here's the thing. In the Constitution, there's a non-delegation clause, which means you cannot delegate your powers to somebody else. Through the administrative state, you are delegating the executive branch powers to your appointed agency head. And what do we have today? We have a CDC, an FDA, an NIH, an FBI. We have all these agencies that are running completely amok, and they're all appointed agency heads. And you have Dr. Fauci, who is head of the NIH, who is telling us what we can and cannot put into our bodies.
Yeah.
You must put in this, experimental use authorized gene therapy, otherwise AKA poison death shot. And you cannot take hydroxychloroquine, which the FDA has been approved. It's been generic for 70 years. And it's highly effective, highly efficacious. So this is where we have a massive breakdown. And then you look at those appointed agency positions and who is propping those people up, who is paying those people. Why is Fauci the highest paid member of our government, $480,000 a year, more than the president? The president makes $400,000. So when you start to peel the onion back and you look at where the money's coming from, and we know Bill Gates is a massive funder, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, massive funder for the WHO, the FDA, the CDC, and a whole host of other organizations. And that Microsoft patented the cryptocurrency connectivity to the Internet of Things, W20660606. When you start to peel that onion back, you realize that you have these unelected people who are bought and paid for by other people with their agenda. And so that is the deep state. But it was given birth because we basically usurped our constitutional powers by creating an administrative state. And that administrative state has gone to 6,000 agencies, all taxpayer funded, and being fully corrupted by the corporatocracy, the corporate monsters out there.
Yeah, so
because they can tap into that power and control.
Go ahead. Who do they hide behind? They're hiding behind these
Who is they? Who's they?
The deep state. Let's go a little bit. Let's dig a little bit further. Let's go prior to FDR.
Okay.
And let's look at. So what I'm getting at is.
Well, it's the crown. So the British crown was really upset when Cornwallis surrendered. I'm sure the king was thoroughly pissed off. He's like, you shouldn't have done that, but somebody gave Cornwallis the okay to surrender, so he surrendered. The United States was now, or America was now considered free. So we had our work to do for a few years, getting our government organized. We were a union of states, remember?
You're talking 1776?
Yes, yeah. We were a union of states. A nation has a centralized government. A union of states has a decentralized government. Our Constitution is a decentralized form of government, right? Every state is sovereign. They have their own executive branch, the judicial, the legislative branch, right? What's happened today? It's, everything happens or supposed to happen in D.C., and they're the ones mandating through their administrative state agencies all of these, quote, statutory laws, which are not constitutional laws. That's corporate law. So basically what the Crown has done, the Crown has used this technique for years to protect their crown by having a corporate corporatocracy around them to protect the entity itself. They've deployed that same strategy here. And that's how they've gotten away with. That's how pharmaceutical companies can control FDA, because you have an appointed person who used to work for Big Pharma that's, keeping it all in the family because there's other money going on behind the scenes. That's what's controlling it. And where is this coming from? This is all going right back up to the crown. They're pissed off that we got freedom in 1776, and they recaptured us again in, really it was 1809 with the 13th Amendment, which was modified to, it was originally supposed to say no titles of nobility can serve in government in the United States of America. And instead, what ended up happening is they took that out and made it about freeing the slaves. But really, if you think about it, titles of nobility are esquires, and in Capitol Hill we have nothing but a bunch of lawyers running around. So you have that, and then in 1868, when we signed the treaty for the truce of the Civil War, two states signed that treaty under duress in order to bring in the 14th Amendment, which made every state part of the federal organization. So the 14th Amendment isn't about your right to vote in as much as it's making you a federal citizen. And once you became a federal citizen, that's a corporate entity. You've now given away your God-given rights enumerated by the Bill of Rights to become a privileged citizen to get welfare, Social Security, all the things you opt in for, versus your God-given freedoms, which you just get because you're a child of God. Everywhere in the world you're supposed to have that, but in this country we had people put it down on paper to make sure that it was protected.
And are you familiar with the Grand Union flag?
The Grand Union flag?
Yeah.
What about it?
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah. I don't know the history, per se. I don't have the detail.
Can you visualize it in your mind, what it looked like?
I think so.
What did it look like?
That's the one with the circles.
No, that's that is the Star Spangled Banner, I think, that Betsy Ross adapted.
I don't know what it is.
So John Paul Jones flew a flag that Franklin and Washington had adopted in a Cambridge, Massachusetts meeting in 1775.
Okay, what does it look like?
So at that meeting, I'll tell you what it looks like. At that meeting, there was a representative known as the professor, so the identity was not disclosed.
We have one of those today, don't we?
The Nutty Professor? No.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And this individual was representing from a historical aspect of a guy named Gary Campbell that wrote a book called Our Flag.
Okay.
That individual was representing the very crown that you speak of.
Right.
But he wasn't from London, per se.
Where was
he was from another area of Europe, and I think it was...
Vatican?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Okay. What this flag looks like, and listeners
I'm going to look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, listeners can go to my website. They can simply type in U.S. Grand Union flag. It has those 13 stripes.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to wait for you to get the result. What Google's going to give you: U.S. Grand Union flag. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at it. What is that, man?
That's the Union Jack flag plus the American flag. That's showing us the crown still owns a piece of us.
That's correct.
Uh-huh.
That's 1775, and that was the first battle flag adapted by the Continental Congress.
Yeah.
That gave way to the Betsy Ross flag. So
Yeah.
when we visit Philadelphia, we see the Star Spangled Banner with all the stars. But what you're looking at right there, and or what? What is that What is that Union flag? What are those? What is that?
That's the crown. That's the British. That's.
If you dissect it, what's that thing in red? What's the thing in white? So you got red, white, and blue. But what are those? What's going on there?
Yeah, you've got a crown. You've got a. It looks like actually if you knew that coronavirus thing too, it looks like that.
Corona.
You know.
Right. What
looks
is that red thing there? What is that?
It's a cross.
It's a cross.
Yeah.
The Union Jack is what you're looking at. That was the first flag of the United States because it was financed. Washington and the Continental Army were financed by the City of London.
Right.
And the City of London is a sovereign entity,
right,
which controls the crown.
Right.
Because it represents another crown.
It's another debt slave model.
Yeah. It represents the true crown. And though that cross there is what represents the true crown. Kind of like the crown of thorns.
Kind of like Switzerland's flag too, right?
Kind of like Switzerland's flag, exactly.
BIS.
That is the cross of St. George.
Yeah.
And there's another cross. You can see it. It's white. That's the cross of St. Andrew. The cross of St. George represents England. The cross of St. Andrew represents Scotland. And there's a third cross in that. You can see the white outlining.
Yeah.
That's the cross of St. Patrick, which represents Ireland. And those three crosses represent the United Kingdom.
Right. That's amazing.
And the United Kingdom is financed and reports to the City of London.
Yeah. Kind of like the United States is financed and reports to Washington, D.C.
Right.
Same business model.
Same business model.
Yeah, and they captured us when the Act of 1871 was like the final death blow to the country, and nobody really understood what happened there when they incorporated D.C. and the administrative state took off in 1935. Like I said, of course there was the Federal Reserve Act, income tax, all these other things. It's they piled on, right? They've just piled on. But to really put this on steroids in 1935, FDR's Federal Register Act gave birth to the administrative state, which allowed organizations that are owned by who knows who, right, to come and have a massive influence on our government and then make mandates and statutory law, which people don't understand their jurisdiction. They don't know that that does not hold jurisdiction over you. There's no mandate. When you hear in the airport they're saying federal mandate?
Yeah, mandates.
Mandates, yeah. You have to wear your mask or whatever. I take mine off. I go, no, you don't. I look around at people. I go, no, you don't. No, you don't. I know when you get on that plane, if you want to get on the plane, it depends on who you got. But I've noticed now that even on the plane, I wear my mask under my chin the entire time.
You do?
Oh, yeah. And nobody says a word. Nobody says a word. And if I don't have a bottle of water, I go, oh, yeah, my water just ran out. Can you get me more? They don't say put your mask on anymore because they know. They know it's all a lie. And we've been lied to. But that's the problem. People are by nature good, Ian, and they want to follow rules.
You think so, Ian?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of good Christians want to follow rules. They do. You were raised, you listen to your mom and dad, you listen to authority. I was raised, you still refer to so-and-so as Mr. and Mrs. when you meet somebody that's older than you. That's just how I was raised. I'm old school, but I was raised by European parents, and that's what it was. So the point I'm making is I think that people want to do the right thing, majoritively speaking, but you have the people in power that are corrupt as anything, and they love power. They're corrupt, and they just want power. As opposed to doing what our Constitution says, which is serve the people, they figured out a way for the administrative state to control us because people don't do their research. You have the Department of Education, which miseducates our children.
Yeah.
They've written all this out of history, so people don't know that we're really free, and we have to declare our freedoms. So this is what it's about right now. We, the people, have to stand up and declare our freedoms and say we're not going to be a party to this anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to be a party to this anymore. I don't recognize your authority. You don't have any authority. I'm not in your jurisdiction. You got to come to mine. I'm in common law, God's law, law of nature. I'm no longer playing in your admiralty court. Have fun.
Take that crown off your head.
Take that crown off your head, and if I have to walk into the court, I'm going to ask the judge, have you sworn an oath to the Constitution? Show me your oath. Show me your oath. You know how many times judges will step off the bench and get somebody else until finally they dismiss your case?
No.
Yeah. It's happening in real time. So this is what's going on right now. People don't know that they can stand in the light of God and in true freedom. That they own it. They own it. They declare it. That's what God wants you to do. That's what our founding fathers wanted you to do. And instead, we just kind of, again, oh, somebody else is handling that. Oh, good. They seem like a nice person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're screwing the pooch.
Right. Stabbing you in the back.
Stabbing you in the back.
So, Ann, talk a little bit about your experience with Homeland Security. Let's go into the People's Convoy. What was your experience with the People's Convoy?
Amazing. Truly an amazing
Where'd you start? In L.A.?
We started in Barstow, California.
Barstow, okay.
Started in Barstow. It was a 13-day drive across the country, everywhere we went.
Thanks for doing that.
Oh, my God. Amazing. Oh, God. I wish we were still out there doing it. Most fun I've ever had. Truly, it was an amazing experience. The amount of love, outpouring, and support from Americans.
You had a helicopter flying a flag at one point in time?
Oh, yeah. We had a helicopter. We had planes. We had plane convoys.
Plane convoys.
Hundreds of thousands of people on overpasses as we went around the country. Even in the middle of a desert where there's not a house or a structure as far as the eye can see, you find an overpass. People will wait for hours to see the trucks go by and the cars. Awesome.
And you had, what, like 7,000 trucks?
We had 7,000 vehicles. Not just trucks, vehicles, RVs, buses, trucks, fifth wheels, cars, all this stuff. It's a 60-plus mile long convoy, and it's growing right now because in Hagerstown...
It's still together.
It's still together. In fact, more people are still coming to Hagerstown, Maryland from other parts of the country and coming in there to do the Beltway Loop. And what I can tell you about this, it's run like a military operation. These are all former veterans that are truckers.
Brian, who's heading it?
Brian
Brazzi.
Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal man. Really a lovely man. But every morning, 7 a.m. briefing, 7 p.m. briefing. Here's what we're doing. Let's recap what worked, what didn't next. He's very on point, but very sensitive, very much a man of the people. He's very approachable. He gives everybody time. He's awesome.
He's an independent trucker? Or
He's independent, independent trucker. All these guys are independent, and they said, I'm going to leave I'm not working until we get this scene through. It's amazing. But they're working with Virginia and Maryland State Police as well as the D.C. Metro Police. They have escorts from the police departments to make sure they're safe, and if anybody tries to break in, like people have tried to cause accidents in the convoy, the police take them out and deal with them. Nobody has gone into D.C. on trucks. They haven't done that. Now, they had a meeting a couple of days ago with Cruz and Senator Johnson there and some other members.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah. Ted Cruz came out yesterday. In fact, Brian called me the night before I was leaving for California. He said, hey, if you're here tomorrow, I'd love to put you in a truck with Ted Cruz. Can you cover it? It's like, dude, sorry, I'm on a plane to California. So
Ted Cruz is supporting the People's Convoy.
He's supporting it big time.
He's part of it now.
Same with Senator Johnson. And during the press conference, they were talking about how the Democrats behind closed doors don't wear masks. But as soon as they walk out to the cameras,
what a surprise!
The masks go on. And
wait, didn't Nancy Pelosi go to a salon with them?
Yeah.
Okay, something.
Yeah, and a glass of wine. Didn't she have a glass of wine too? I call her 3 martinis Pelosi.
The French Laundry?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, don't even get me started. But yeah, so...
And I didn't see Kamala Harris wearing her flag in, what was it, Poland? She was in Poland?
Yeah, right. And she even holding an American flag. Yeah, no. It really, I have to say, really well done, really well organized, and the people are just very supportive. Lots of love.
So Johnson and Cruz are getting involved, and what's happening?
They're listening to what they want. What they really want is they want to get all the mandates in the national emergency completely removed. Like, take it off. And they also want to restore the Constitution. Now, I've said to them, you guys, can you help? Can you be more specific on the messaging? What does that mean? So I believe I've introduced this to some people, and we'll leave that for a second conversation because I really don't think it's appropriate to say that this time. But they're going to talk to some people to help redefine that message. People that are in the constitutional business, understanding and helping.
Barack Obama.
They're going to call Barack. Yeah, no, not him. Good patriots, people that work with President Trump, and so we're going to help. I'm getting them to help redefine that message so that it becomes ever clear, so that we, the people, because it is the people's convoy. It's not a truckers' convoy. It's the people's convoy. And there's a lot more people than truckers. Okay, people in cars and other things. They call them four-wheelers. So if we can get more of the people, like with the Bonds for the Win strategy and some of the other boots on the ground strategies that people are doing, like going into school board meetings and taking over school boards and challenging CRT and all this, we need to help motivate a lot more Americans out there. And
it's working.
And it's working. So I'm very encouraged, but we have an uphill battle again. It's an uphill battle because they have been doing this for over 100 years. They're very well mobilized. They have a machine that works, and it's been working for them for centuries over in the old country, and they brought it to America. And we're only 250 years old, and if we don't dig in and get right with our own history, how we're supposed to be run and organized, we're going to just decay into communism.
Well, yeah, we'll be run over by the UN, is what I think, right?
100%. We'll be run over by the agency that's chartered the IRS, which is the UN, exactly. But we're already seeing it. Department of Homeland Security, to your point about my traveling yesterday, I live in Sarasota. I had to drive to Tampa. Got to Tampa Airport. My problem is I am now labeled a domestic terrorist by our own Department of Homeland Security. And the reason they labeled me as such, I got a letter from them, I can show it to you here in a minute, is that I was outside the Capitol on Jan 6th. And I was filming, and I saw what was happening, and I reported on it. I didn't live stream at the time, but I reported on it a lot, and I still talk openly that they open the doors from the inside out. Those doors don't swing in, they swing out. And they're magnetically sealed. So you have to have somebody release something. And there's videotape of an inside camera shot showing somebody at the door talking to someone on closed circuit TV to tell them to open the doors, and then they open the doors. Oh yeah. So it's all coming out. The truth is coming out. It's all captured on video. But the point is, I was there documenting, so I got a letter in May 4th, that said they revoked my TSA pre-check, global entry, and clear.
Because you were on the grounds of the Capitol?
Nope, they never gave me a reason. They just said they ran my name against 4 databases, and because I'm such a naughty person, I no longer actually, here's the letter, they ran my name against 4 databases, and the databases are law
send that to me?
I will. Law enforcement, immigration, regulatory violation, and intelligence databases. And they said because after that, they said my name no longer posed a low enough risk to warrant pre-check. And therefore, I was going to be subject to their security screenings, which now result in me having what's called the quad S. I have 4 S's on my ticket. I cannot get a boarding pass on my phone at night. I have to go to the ticket counter 2 hours before my flight. It takes the ticket agent about an hour to contact DHS through their corporate office, whatever airline, and then they call DC. They ask me 20 questions, driver's license, da-da-da. Am I traveling with anybody? Do I have any weapons? All this stuff. And then if I'm checking luggage, TSA comes and takes my bag. They search it. They check it on the plane. Then they walk me and escort me to TSA, separate line, where everything comes off, shoes, everything, laptop open, turn it on, phone open, turn it on, everything. I go through the metal detector. I go through the other milliwave detector. And then I am patted down invasively. And yesterday, because my hands failed an explosive detection
What?
swipe, after they swipe everything, I just washed my hands in the bathroom before I went through there to make sure I didn't have face cream on there, because sometimes that sets it off. I've set it off many times. They said because after the pat down I failed that, they had to take me into another room and pat me down. This time, 2 very strong women came in there, and when they were running their hands up and down my thighs, both of them, they went very high up with their hands. Oh yeah. And the looks on their faces said it all. So the look on mine said it all as well. I left there and I gathered my belongings. I went to the gate. TSA's at the gate always, and they do the same thing to me again. I got patted down. They went through my luggage again. And because the flight was late leaving, I missed my connection in Dallas. I was rebooked by the airline, 3-hour layover. I'm at the gate 40 minutes early, and they tell me that I'm not checked in for the flight. I go, but you already rebooked me. And they said, well, something's wrong with your ticket. I went, oh no, do you have to call TSA? And she's like, yeah, I got to call TSA. So the TSA is already at the gate waiting for me. So she's on the phone. She's like, they're not answering. I need a supervisor. I go, well, I'm going to miss my flight if you can't clear me. So I said, can we talk to the supervisor? I talked to the supervisor. He was absolutely defiant. And I said, you're the reason I can't get on this flight. And he goes, it's not me. I go, well, it's your corporate office. Is there anything you can do to help? Nope. I've been doing this for 20 years. You can't tell me how to do my job. I said, well, can you tell me how to help me? He goes, well, that's her problem. I go, but she's saying it's TSA's problem. He goes, she didn't say that. So when I asked her, then she's like, oh, well, I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved. So I missed that flight because they couldn't clear me. They booked me on another flight. I went to that gate straight away and went through the same thing. And I finally got here. So it took me from 8 in the morning till I got here about 11 o'clock last night. So it was like 2 in the morning my time.
Oh my God.
And it's because the TSA just doesn't want me to travel. So, and frankly, that's a Fourth Amendment violation. That's a straight up Fourth Amendment violation. And when I've called TSA, why am I on this list? We can't tell you. So you're charging me with a crime, and you won't tell me what I'm charged with. That's what's going on. Thomas Renz witnessed this happening to me. This happens to me 2 or 3 times a week. He witnessed this happen to me in July in Tampa last year after a Health and Freedom Conference, and he said, I'm going to sue DHS on your behalf. That's totally wrong. So we'll get there. I haven't pushed him on it because he's busy doing other lawsuits for the jab. It's a little more important than me, far more important. So, but yesterday, I was telling General Flynn this. I sent him some video. General Flynn's like, get someone with a camera and film this entire thing. He goes, you need to sue them. I'm like, oh, I will. And I know now what I can and cannot say to get them to say certain things, just to make them say that, expose themselves. So, yeah. Amazing, huh?
what is their objective? And
Slow
by
me down.
to slow you down, they know that you are a threat with your platform, and they aim to squash you.
They want to squash me, but it emboldens me more. I get my resolve grows stronger every day. When they do this to me, I just go, I'm not going to let them win because I'm a fighter. I'm competitive with myself. So if you're trying to beat me down, I'm not going to try and beat you. I'm going to show you I stand up. You will not put me down. I will keep standing up. I have no intention of taking you out because I don't care. Why would I? I'm not. But I will keep standing up. I will keep standing up and keep. They will never beat me down. I mean, they'd have to literally put a bullet to my head to take me out. But you know what? We saw them do it on January 6th. They murdered Ashley Babbitt.
Well, that's true.
The deep state is fully capable. In fact, here's what's interesting. Back to the Capitol and the truckers, the People's Convoy. Maryland State Police, Virginia State Police, D.C. Metro, all supporting the People's Convoy.
D.C. Metro?
D.C. Metro. They all came out to Maryland, 72 miles away from D.C., to have this conversation and organize support to make sure that everything is good. Who's the only agency that declared a state of an emergency?
The FBI.
The Capitol Police.
The Capitol Police.
Yeah, the brown shirts, Nancy Pelosi's hit squad. I call them, that's what they are. Lieutenant Byrd shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, and he still has a job. Didn't lose any pay.
So DC Metro and
Virginia and Maryland State Police support the convoy, but Capitol Police declared a state of emergency because the convoy's parked 72 miles away, and they go and do a loop once a day around the Beltway. It's a state of emergency. They're not even blocking traffic, Ian.
What is Ted Cruz's take? What's his angle? What is
he's
he?
Disgusted by his own government. He's disgusted, and he even talked about the administrative state. He talked about Fauci. He talked about the people in Congress that are not standing up and fighting back for the constitutional rights. So I believe that the movement for we the people to understand our jurisdiction and declare our independence, our freedom, is incumbent upon us, but we've got to engage the individual at the civic level. They've got to have civic responsibility here, Ian. I can't just expect you to go and protect me. I got to look out for me. That's my job. You know, God watches over all of us, but He gives us a brain, eyes and ears to see what's happening. Don't be a victim. Stand up. He wants you to stand up for Him. Stand up for yourself. You're His child. Stand up. So that's it. Pretty basic.
Yeah, and you're doing great work.
Likewise.
And let's get some call to actions for listeners. They can obviously find you at
SteelTruth.com. SteelTruth.com. That's where you find all of me. You find my social media, all of our shows, everything is there.
And you started in Sarasota?
I started SteelTruth.com back in Jupiter, Florida, where I was living at the time, and I've been doing that since 2017. I moved to Vegas for a few months and then back to Sarasota.
So Florida-based. And what are some of the things that you've got going? You've got the People's Convoy now. You've got, of course, you're trying to pay as little attention to these internal struggles, such as the one you have at the Department of Homeland Security, unfortunately. But what can listeners expect from you? What types of things are you tackling right now that are coming to light and being productive?
I am very big into calls to action. I love what Mickey Klon is doing with Bonds for the Win. I don't know if you've spoken to her.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she's
phenomenal. Yeah, we met her months ago through Lee Taylor Dundas.
Yes.
And amazing what she's doing. And it's a very simple recipe for anybody to take responsibility and clean up the mess.
And you're actually involved with Jason Fick's social media.
I am
Section
on a social media Freedom Foundation.
Yeah, okay, with Ryan Hartwig.
Yeah.
And I'm also part of that. And I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that.
So Jason, I introduced Senator Gomer.
You're the connection to Gomer's office. I was wondering how he got in there because I've met with Louis Gomer before for Fast and Furious stuff. Yeah, great guy. That's awesome. I'm so glad that was you that did that. Right on.
I was with awesome. So I was with Latinos for Trump founder
Bianca.
Yeah, Bianca. And Bianca, this was in Dallas.
She knows Gomer, doesn't she?
I don't know if she does or not, but Bianca invited me to a fundraiser for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
And Louis was there, and I had Louis on the show. I don't know, probably 7 months prior to that at a different event in Dallas.
Yeah.
And so I started talking to him about Section 230, and it was jiving. So I says, okay, hold on a second. So I called Jason. Now this is a backstory, Ann.
Yeah.
So Zach Voorhees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zach.
So Zach and I had gotten to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And we'd met Governor DeSantis there. This is over a year ago. It's like October a year ago. And then I'd gotten another invite to go see the governor sign some legislation in Hialeah, and there I was able to talk to him. And I says, you may not recognize me, but I introduced you to the Google whistleblower, and I think it jived him. He's like, oh yeah, I kind of vaguely remember that. I'm going to introduce you to somebody else. So Ryan Hartwig had introduced me to Jason Fick.
Okay, so you introduced DeSantis to Fick.
So I get on the phone and I'm calling Jason. Literally, I'm with the governor right now, and I'm calling Jason, and he doesn't answer.
Oh no.
So the governor gets in his car, he takes off, but I get some connections to his assistants.
Yeah.
And Jason calls back and he says, "What do you need?" I says, "Well, you just missed your opportunity to speak with the governor." He says, "You got to be kidding me!" So every time I call him now,
yeah, like DeSantis is on the phone. He answers the phone.
So when I was with Louis,
right.
and I was calling Jason. Jason answered immediately. They had like a 15-minute conversation.
Good.
Yeah. So anyway, Section 230 is sorry, that was a distraction. But Section 230 is something that listeners can look for. Yes, I am aware of what's her name? Khan.
Mickey Khan.
Mickey Khan. Yeah, Mickey Khan. And one of her supporters, Megan, is going to be here. And you're working with Maureen
Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so continue with a little bit of update where people, listeners can track the stuff things that you're tackling.
So you can pick up what we're putting down at steeltruth.com. I'm an American State National, and I expand on that on our platform. But I really redirect a lot of people to David Straight and Bobby Lawrence. They want to learn more about becoming an American State National, which is truly removing yourself from the 14th Amendment corrupt system. And you're no longer beholden to the corporate state of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And you take yourself out of a lot of garbage. But you have to understand, you have to own and understand your jurisdictions. You've got to be able to understand how to move in and out of different ones so that they don't own you, you own you. You maintain your freedom. So there's calls to action. Social Media Freedom Foundation is going to be huge. We've got some stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. We won't talk about here because I don't think we're at liberty to, but it's going to be some good stuff. And I think that freedom is on the move. I think American Patriot's on the move. I just wish, Ian, that we had less ego. People need to. General Flynn is a great shirt, and I've said it for years. Mission over ego. We've got to just stand with whoever next to us. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. The fact that like DeSantis would take a phone call on the fly like that is awesome. We need people like that in power that will listen to somebody that's not even in the political field, because you know what? There's diamonds in the rough. There's diamonds in the rough, and when you spend 2.5, 3 weeks with truckers, that most of these guys barely have high school educations, right? But they're the smartest people on the planet. It's because you know what? They have on-the-job training. They have real life. And these eggheads that come out of Harvard are locked up in their world of theories and ifs and that's and ifs and nuts and candy and buts, and it doesn't fly. They don't know how to live in the real world. They can tell you what they want the world to be. Agenda 2030. We see that.
Sure.
These people they just don't have real life experience. They're out of touch.
Puppets
with
of the
reality.
crown.
There you go. They're out of touch with reality. And the reality is right here. These are people who love freedom. They want to be left alone, but they'll help you and give you the shirt off your back. Those people coming out of Harvard won't. They'll take the shirt off your back, and they'll burn it if they need to. So that's the difference. And I'd rather be with the People's Convoy than anybody coming out of D.C. any day of the week. So.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Ann Vandersteel. Ann, do you have any final thoughts? I mean, you kind of summed it up there pretty well.
We're health and freedom. This is what it's about right now. Clay Clark and General Flynn's been here. This media room is phenomenal. Some of the best talent in the country is sitting right in here. And these are the names that need to have more recognition. But the best part about this group is that despite how big people get, the level of humility still remains very, 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 humble.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's great. Key. What we need.
Okay, Ann, thank you.
Ian, thank you. Boom.